I recently received, more or less, a very rare and special package that was found on a Thayan trade vessel intercepted by some freebooters on the shining sea. The crate arrived at the keep, and nobody seemed to pay much interest aside from me and a modrone named Quad, who had recently arrived at the keep and was being inducted by the little squad of monodrones who worked on the stacks, sorting one book at a time, as is their way. I just happened to be sitting in the late afternoon light, enjoying a rather bawdy tale from the Sage of Shadowdale, when there was a commotion and Quad broke open a very sturdy wooden crate with a distinctive ear-popping pressure change of some protective magic being disrupted and a bone-vibrating shriek of a magical alarm being set off. Moments later, Quad was sprinting on his mechanical legs back toward the keep with a large egg in his hands, his large rubbery-lipped mouth hooting with excitement as several of the avowed picked up the hems of their robes and gave chase. Naturally, I got involved, as I simply had to know what possessed the quadrone to do something like that. Eventually, Quad skidded to a stop and hammered on the chamber door of Master Sage Kazran Niantani, a resident expert in the natural world whom I often spend long evenings discussing the ecologies of creatures. It turns out, long story short, that the egg was from the tropical and often treacherous island of Cholt, and was the offspring of a monstrous species known on Cholt as the Kamadan. Now, I've been asked recently if these are the same creatures as those found within the jungles of the distant continent of Mazdaca, all the way across the trackless sea, and I could confirm with certainty that they are not. That species is called the Kamatlan, and they are distinctly different, as a bobcat is from a mountain lion or a wolf is different from a fox. And no, neither one of them is related in any way to the displacer beast. As a matter of fact, they are one of the few predators that actively hunt down and kill displacer beasts they find in their territory. Master Sage Nyantani did end up incubating and hatching the Kamadan cub and named it Asper, and let me tell you, that fiendish furry bastard was cunning and lethal, absolutely not suitable as a pet unless one is willing to keep the creature under constant and cruel magical submission, a practice I do not endorse, but in the case of something like a Kamadan, perhaps is better for the greater concern of keeping innocent bystanders alive. Oh, how cute it was when it hatched, a baby leopard with those cute little snake nubs, all big eyes, soft fur, little toe beans and that long tail, beautiful pattern on its soft coat, and strong. Asper grew quickly and soon became a legitimate terror, shredding soft furnishings, spraying urine on the walls and attempting to murder several animal companions and, unfortunately, succeeding in massacring a small flock of sheep. In only a few months' time, Asper was confined to a chamber where illusions on the walls gave the impression of a jungle vista and fed a live sheep at least once per week, paid for by the morbidly curious who paid to watch the process. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to enter the enclosure of a Kamadan for your own safety. They are capable of knocking other creatures unconscious with the release of a potent sleep gas that they can exhale almost like dragon breath. Before we delve into the details of these creatures and the variant species with very similar names, let's relax, grab ourselves a tasty beverage. It's time to get deeply nerdy. Also, thank you to everyone so far this year who have purchased a deeply nerdy mug to help support my work. I very much appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the design and quality of the item as much as I do. The Kamatlan of Mazdaca is a large predator with the body of a jaguar and two snakes sprouting from either shoulder. It has a rattle on the end of its tail, just like a rattlesnake. The Kamadan of Cholt is an equally large predator with the body of a leopard and three snakes growing from each shoulder, and it does not have a rattle on the end of its tail. In most other respects, the creatures are very similar to each other, except I suspect the Kamatlan of Mazdaca is quite comfortable in the water and a very capable swimmer, and does a lot of its hunting and sleeping in the branches of jungle trees, often striking from above with deadly snake bite and retreating as the venom does its work. The Kamadan of Cholt is a far more direct and brutal, springing from the undergrowth with the release of its sleeping gas before a furious attack with teeth, claws, and fangs. They fear no creature aside from something like an adult dragon, though they will retreat from large groups of humans, as particularly in Mazdaca they are highly valued by practitioners of Hizna magic. Hizna is also known as Talon magic. It dates back to the days of the Empire of Scaly Kind and is the divine magic practiced by Mazdakan priests of the god of war and violence known as Zaltek. Hizna was the magic of claw, fang, and venomous sting for a long time. Practitioners are rightly feared for their power to dominate the will of another being hundreds of miles away. And Hizna can be used to deliver messages over long distances and can be used to animate objects such as snakeskins. I do wonder if this is why merchants of Thay were going to such lengths to capture such a creature. Who knows? From what I observed, a Kamadan egg takes at least 2 months to hatch and has a leathery shell, more like a reptile. When hatched, they are the size of an adult tressum or flightless cat and can have a pelt that is grey with barely defined spots, which suggests they remain in caves and crevices of boulders for protection, to grow to adulthood over 2 years. I'm not sure if they build a nest. I suspect they just locate a cave or crevice amongst boulders and secure their egg there. And given that most big cats' primary cause of death in the wild as infants is adult male cats killing offspring in order to bring the female back into heat sooner, they have good reason to leave the cubs to fend for themselves. Kamadan breed at any time of the year in their tropical habitat. The average lifespan in the wild ranges from 10 to 20 years. A full-grown Kamadan depends mainly on its acute senses of hearing and vision for hunting. They are active at night and also have an acute sense of smell. Thanks to their snakeheads also tasting the air with their tongues, they can zero in on a scent carried on the wind with uncanny accuracy. While their passive perception is high, it should be noted that they can see in all directions at once, so sneaking up on them is a bad idea. As mentioned, the Kamadan will either pounce from concealment on their prey with a 20-foot run-up. They can leap at a creature and make a claw strike so powerful that its target must succeed on a DC 13 strength saving throw or be knocked prone. If the target is knocked prone, the Kamadan can make 2 attacks, one with its bite and one with its snakes, against it as a bonus action. They almost always hunt alone and are quite fearless. They will attack groups of humanoids, in which case the Kamadan exhales sleep gas in a 30-foot cone. Each creature in that area must succeed on a DC 12 Constitution saving throw or fall unconscious for 10 minutes. This effect ends if the creature takes damage or someone uses an action to wake it. The 5th edition Kamadan's attacks per round are much reduced from previous editions and don't do justice to how they can take down a whole team of adventurers in a solo brawl. See, not only did they get a bite and claw attack, they also get to attack with each of their snake heads. So 9 attacks per round, and they can choose multiple targets to engage on adjacent positions around it. All strikes are +5 to hit and do 1d6 +3 damage. The claws do slashing damage, the jaws do piercing damage, as do the snake bites, but the snakes also force the target to make a DC 12 Constitution check or inflict 6d6 poison damage, or half that damage if they succeed on the check. They are large in size, something like 3 feet tall at the shoulder, so larger than any leopard. It's more than likely that they also have melanistic Kamadan, which is an all-black coloration, in which case I would call them a Kamadan panther. They are strong and agile monsters, predators able to leap 20 feet horizontally and 10 feet straight up, quite impressive with a body weight of at least 250 pounds. The males can get even larger and the females are almost always smaller. They have a hunting range of around 15 miles and humanoids are attacked by them almost exclusively at dawn or dusk, particularly while making camp in the evening or breaking camp in the morning. Not a pleasant way to start the day in a sweltering jungle. I've not seen any Kamadan kept as pets on my travels, but they are sought after by the Church of Malar, and to the right buyer I would say you could earn a couple of thousand gold coins just for an unhatched egg of a Kamadan or Kamatlan, but I do advise you to be very cautious when dealing with that particular faith, as they're always looking for cheap meat to feed their monstrous menageries. Mind you don't end up on their menu. My name is AJ Pickett. As always, thanks for joining me, and I'll be back with more for you very soon. And do check out my new Fourthwall support page. That's a great alternative for those of you who really detest Patreon, as I have learned to do over the years, and I'd love for all of you to switch over to that platform as soon as possible. Thanks very much. See you again soon.